Hey y'all, and welcome to Skyrim Scripting. On this episode, I'm going to show you how to create your very first Skyrim script. Now, if you're in this episode, you probably clicked here because you saw the Beginner Basics playlist and you're just clicking through, or you've never written a Skyrim script before, or you're just looking for a refresher. So what we're going to do in this episode is we're going to get you up and running. Assuming that you have the creation kit installed, you can just have a fresh Bethesda Skyrim creation kit installation. That's fine. At the end of the episode, I'm going to show you very, very briefly how to install a couple of the creation kit fixes, just to leave you with that, because it's very, very useful for scripting, and I want to give you that information when you're just getting up and running. Otherwise, you may have some frustration when using the creation kit, and I don't want you to feel that frustration. Also, I may touch on how I do this using Mod Organizer 2, which is kind of a slightly different way of creating mods, but we're just going to do this the simplest way possible first. So let's get started. First things first, you're going to need to know where your Skyrim Special Edition installation folder is. If you don't already know that, the easiest way to get there is just to go to Steam, go to this little cog wheel under your Skyrim installation here, and go to Manage, Browse Local Files, and it'll open up your Skyrim Special Edition folder. This for most folks will be at C, Program Files x86, Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Skyrim Special Edition. I have mine installed outside of Program Files. You can see that in one of the episode series I did. It's a 5-episode series where I show how to do my mod authoring setup, I think is what it's called, something along those lines. Because I ran into a couple bugs with the creation kit when I had Skyrim installed and Steam installed to Program Files, but hopefully you'll be fine. If you have a brand new Steam installation setup with Skyrim, I might consider uninstalling Skyrim in Steam and reinstall Steam into a folder like C Steam. This is not required at all. So, and because this is the first episode, thanks to folks who already know a number of these things. This first episode in the series, I just want to touch on a couple of things for beginners as we go along. So go ahead and open up the creation kit. So double click on that. Again, my icon may be a little bit different from yours because I have the unofficial patch for creation kit installed, which you don't need. And I have that little white box pop up because I have the SSE creation kit fixes installed. Don't need those things. The very first thing I do when I open up the creation kit is I just go up here to the save button. So I click save and then I give my mod a name. It's the first thing I always do. I'm just going to call this hello mod and hit enter. You don't need to give it an extension or anything, and it should save into the Skyrim Special Edition data folder, and that's where you want it. If we hit save here and go back to our Skyrim Special Edition folder and click into data, we'll actually see we have a hello mod ESP here. We created our very first mod file. If you haven't done that before, congratulations. So what we're going to do is have this mod just, when the first time the player installs your mod, when they run the game, a little pop-up will come up and just say, hello world, or we'll make it say hello mod. And then the player has to click OK. So the easiest way to do that is with a quest, because quests run at the beginning of the game, and the first time they install your mod, you can configure your quest to just run once that first time that they install your mod. So we go over into character, and under character we go into quest. And now your quest right here may be populated with thousands of entries. That would be because you have this whole Skyrim game loaded up, and that's totally fine. I'll show you what it would look like. I'm going to open up this folder, and I'm just going to double click Skyrim and click OK. And now it's going to load up the entire Skyrim game. This is really just an excuse for me to drink my tea. It should take less than 10 seconds. And there we go. So now if I click on a character quest, you see all of these different things. It's totally fine. So you can right click anywhere in this box. Even though there's a number of things in here, you can just right click new, and it'll give you this little prompt for the quest. So call it something unique like hello mod quest. It's a common convention for folks to give a prefix to everything they create in the creation kit, so that's easy for you to find just your stuff. We're going to use hello mod. Some folks use 3-letter abbreviations. You might want to, when you pick an abbreviation, search all of the Skyrim objects for that abbreviation to make sure nothing comes up. So we're going to call this hello mod quest, and before we do anything else here, we're just going to hit OK. You never want to edit anything about your quest until you give it a name and click OK. It's just a quirk about quests. Now to find it quickly, I'm just going to type hello, and I'll say hello mod because there's some other stuff that says hello, into this filter. If I click around to different categories, it won't show anything, but I can either click into character, quest, or just all is really useful to see all of your mods items like quests. So I'm going to double click into this. Now, like I said, this quest, you can configure a quest to run as soon as a player installs your mod, and it'll just run once. So quests by default have this box checked, start game enabled, and that means that the quest will kick itself off as soon as the game loads. And run once means that it'll only do that once, which is what we want when we want to do something the first time the player loads your mod. So there's a lot of things here. Don't worry about any of it. Just like there's a lot of stuff in the creation kit and a lot of buttons, don't worry about any of it. You may already be familiar with it because you've been modding Skyrim for a long time and are just writing scripts for the first time or getting a full refresher for this new playlist course. Go in here and click Add, and then we're going to go to New Script at the top and hit OK, or just double click on New Script. It should show Extends Quest. If it doesn't, there's a problem, but I'll walk you through that in a moment. And just give this a unique name as well. So I'll say hello mod quest script. Great convention. The object and then script. Great convention. Don't worry about hidden or conditional or documentation string for right now. Now one of two things will have happened for you. Either it just did that, the dialog disappeared, and this shows up here, in which case click OK and hit save again. That's the safest thing to do. And I'll reopen up this quest script. Or you got an error message that said something about extends and that it not working. Now if that's the case, what you're going to want to do is go into your Skyrim Special Edition folder right here and click into the data folder. Now you should have either a source directory here with a scripts subdirectory, or if you set it up like I did, which is a custom setup, you'll have a scripts directory with source underneath it. So if you have scripts source, you've configured it like I have, and just make sure that there's thousands and thousands of scripts in this directory. There should be 13,910. But yours are probably in data source scripts, which is fine. That's a great place for them to be. If you don't have the 13,910 scripts in either of those folders, that's probably because you did not extract this zip file. So I'll just show you what's in there. I'm going to Control-N to open up a new Explorer window over here, and I'm going to double-click the zip file to see what's inside of it. It has dialog views and source. This is that source directory with a subscripts directory with those 13,910 scripts. So the way that you normally set this up with Creation Kit is to grab these and just copy them over just by dragging and dropping them into your data folder. Not the top level Skyrim Special Edition folder, but this data folder. Once you've done that, it'll take a couple minutes to copy over those files. It's over 15,000 files from those two folders. Give it a couple minutes and then go back to the Creation Kit. Then you probably don't see your script name here. You can click Add, New Script. If you try and type hello mod quest script and hit enter, it'll complain and say that your script already exists. There's two options. One, for now in this tutorial, just add a 2 to the end of it and hit OK. And now you should get a new script without it complaining. In that case, follow along with us and click OK. And we'll open this up again. So for us who didn't have that error, I'm just going to remove the second one. If you did get an error, you'll be editing hello mod quest script 2, and that's perfectly fine. So we're going to right-click Edit Source. Now this shows a very small box. It adds one line of code by default, just script name, hello mod, quest script, extends quest. You don't need to understand that line at this point, and that's fine. Now this box is very small and it's not great for screencasting purposes, so I'm going to copy this content into Notepad so I can make it bigger for you. I'm going to write my code in Notepad and then copy it back into that little box that you get when you right-click Edit Source. You can just do this in the Edit Source box. So I'm just making it big for you. What we're going to do is subscribe to an event that gets called every time the quest is initialized, which happens the first time that your quest is kicked off for a new save game. Cool. There were a couple of sirens in the background that I just paused during, and I used it as an opportunity to drink my tea. That happens a lot during my series because I live 2 blocks from a firehouse and 4 from a police station. Not the best place to screencast, but I still love and enjoy doing it. So to do this, we type event. Don't worry about if you don't understand this code yet. You certainly will by the end of the beginner basic screencast, because we're going to be repeating this over and over and over again. On init, open close parentheses, close parentheses. So open parentheses, close parentheses, and then end event on a new line. And I'm just going to put my code in here. Code goes here. Now anything after a semicolon is considered a comment, so you can put note to self in your code, whatever you want. Anything after a semicolon is just ignored by the script, and you can use that. It's called a code comment. Now the casing of this doesn't matter. You can say event on init end event. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's some conventions that certain scripters use. I use different conventions when I'm showing y'all how to do it in screencasts than I do in my personal mods for some reason. It doesn't matter. That's just a quirk about scripts in Skyrim, which makes it really convenient for y'all. So we're going to make it so that when the quest is initialized, a box just pops up. It's going to be a message box so that the player has to see this message and they'll have to click OK to continue. So that is a message box, and you do that by typing debug.messageBox. We've got these open close parentheses, and inside of it we're going to open close double quotes. We'll just say hello mod, like so. Now be careful if you copy and paste code from something like Microsoft Word or Google Docs or anything like that. Your double quotes may be those little fancy curly types, and that won't work. So you want to write your code in something like Notepad, inside of the edit source box, or inside of a text editor such as Notepad++ or Atom or Sublime, or probably missing one. I use Visual Studio Code, and that's what I'm going to use for the rest of the screencast series. So I'm just going to copy and paste this in to my little edit source box. So mine looks like yours. So here's your edit source box, and then we're going to Control S to save, and that'll perform a compilation of the script. It turns it from a PSC file into a PEX file. I call those Papyrus source code files for PSC and Papyrus executable, if I can pronounce words, for PEX. So PEX and PSC. So if it did not succeed, if it doesn't show compilation succeeded, double check your code and make sure it matches what I just had in Notepad a moment ago. If I add some gibberish in here, for example, and just click Control S, it'll say compilation failed, and you can click no, you don't want to continue, and look in this box and see if it's got some tips. It'll show you the line number of code where it found its first issue. There's no line numbers visible here, which is frustrating, but I could always go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and find that it's on this line. where I added the gibberish. So Control S and get it until it's compiling. So now we're done. Just close out of the edit source, hit OK, hit OK if you want to. You can always look in the title bar here and see if next to your mod name, like hellomod.esp, there's a little asterisk. That's always a reminder that you've got something to save. But you can also just exit out and it'll ask you if you want to save your changes to your plugin file, and you always want to say yes unless you want to discard those changes. So now what we have here is a hellomod ESP. You could use mod managers to turn this on. I'm just going to use the built-in mod manager in Skyrim. Okay, so now we're just going to run Skyrim however you normally run it. Quick tip for modding, you may already be doing this, but I recommend that you go to options and you run your Skyrim in a windowed box, so windowed mode with a border, so uncheck borderless, and at a resolution that's lower than your screen's big resolution, so that you can see other stuff on the screen, and so it's easier to Alt-Tab outside of it. It's just my general recommendation, and I'm always going to run it in a box that shows up about here on my screen, like you're going to see in a moment. It allows us to do things like see logs in the rest of the screen, so like above me on this part of the screen and over here on this part of the screen we'll show other things like log messages while we play the game. So if we run the game right now, it's not going to have our mod enabled likely, so we're going to look at this little menu here and we're going to go to mods. You don't need this if you're using mod manager. It may have asked you to log in with your Bethesda.net account. You should already have one using the Creation Kit launcher and it should just log you in, but you might need to log in. These are all of the featured mods or plugins that are from the official Bethesda.net. We don't care about those. You were looking for load order. You can just tap the T button if you want, keyword button, and then you should see your Hello Mod ESP here. That stands for Elder Scrolls Plugin or Mod. So just click the empty space to the left of it so you get a check mark, and then click back or just hit escape, and then click back or just hit escape, and then the game is going to ask us to reload the files, and that's what we want to do. Now I'm not going to start a new game and go into the cart scene or anything. And I'm not going to use a mod like alternate start to make a new game that goes in a different direction. We're just going to hop straight into the game as a somewhat random character. We're going to do that by hitting the tilde key to open up this console, type COC space, and then I'll just go to like Riverwood and hit enter. COC stands for Center on Cell. It's a great way to debug, and it just puts you into the game as this random dude with a bunch of iron gear, and it's the easiest way to test, and I'll be using that throughout all of my screencasts. So here we can see your mod works. Congratulations, you wrote a script. It doesn't do much, but you could distribute this on Nexus if you wanted to, and people could install it with their mod managers, and you'd be good to go. You would want to watch my episode on packaging up your mods for having them ready on Nexus. You could just put into a zip file your Hello World ESP file, and then a scripts folder with the Hello Mod quest scripts.px file, and you'd be good. So that's it. I told you that this only runs once, so I'm going to F5 quick save, and then I'm just going to go to System, quit out to main menu, and I'll load this game. I'll go to my load, load recent all saves. Here it says it's my prisoner Nord. That's the name of the default character. It always gives you the same character, this Nord prisoner. Level 1, and you'll see the Hello mod did not print out. That's the expected behavior. That's what we want. If you want something to trigger every time a load game happens, then I think I'll cover that in my player scripts mod. or how to attach scripts to the player. It's probably what it's called in this beginner basics playlist. So the quickest way to exit Skyrim is just hit the tilde key and then just type QQQ and then hit enter. It's always the quickest way to just quickly exit to desktop. Just like COC gets you into the game quickly, QQQ gets you out. So that's kind of it. Congratulations, you wrote a mod, it's a script, it works. I'll show you a couple of things because this is the first episode in this series. I want you to get set up with a creation kit that works well. So even though that we're already at 20 minutes, I'll make sure this is under 30. Let me just show you a couple things. If you don't have the SSE fixes for Creation Kit installed, or if you don't have the Unofficial Creation Kit patch installed, or if you don't have the tweaked INI installed, these are all optional, except I would say the SSE fixes are really not optional. You really need that to have a decent experience using the Creation Kit, where the Creation Kit is very slow, very slow. So what you want to do is you just want to search for like Skyrim, Creation Kit. Let me open up my desktop so you can see what I'm doing. I'm squinting because I have a migraine and it's hard to see. It's hard for me to see. It's very sad. Just search for like Skyrim, SSE, Creation Kit fixes, or just SSE Creation Kit fixes. Should work well. It should take you to this Nexus link. And this is a manual download. So we'll go to Files, and we'll manually download this zip file, and just hit Save File. You don't need to worry about this other download, the Face Effects wrapper right now. That's more important for dialogue. I go over how to install all of these things in my Creation Kit episodes, in my 5-episode and 12-episode introductions to Skyrim scripting. The 5 one just shows how to get up and running with the mod authoring setup that I like and use. So let's go to our downloads, and this is just going to have 3 DLL files and 1 INI file inside of it. So the way that you install this is I'm just going to Control N and go to my Skyrim Special Edition folder here. Again, if you lost where this folder is, just go to Steam, Skyrim, Cogwheel, Manage, Browse Local Files. You probably want to pin this to your quick access or some way, however you get to your folders really quickly. You're going to want it super frequently. So all you do is you drag these files over. Ta-da! As soon as you drag those files over, when you run Creation Kit, it should show this little white box. And if it doesn't, and if you don't see CK64 fixes with some revision number up here in the title bar, then my recommendation to you is actually restart your machine. I had that not work for me once when I was doing a screencast, and I just restarted my machine, clicked creationkit.exe again, or launch it from, so I actually don't launch the Creation Kit from the Bethesda launcher. Run it from here. That's my recommendation to get the fixes working. So run it from the executable directly, and you could create a desktop shortcut if you wanted to for it, and do a restart if you need to. So that's it. There's also completely optional the Unofficial, if I can spell, Creation Kit patch. So right here, also on Nexus. If you download this, it's also a manual download, and it's going to have, like, I think a little batch file. So manually download this, download, save. Go ahead and endorse both of these using this user that I'm using right now. Endorse. This is kind of my screencasting Nexus user, but here we go. And for the Unofficial Creation Kit patch, this is a 7-zip file, so if you don't have 7-zip, go ahead and install that, and then you should be able to double-click it. If you don't have 7-zip installed, when you double-click it, Microsoft Windows is going to ask you, just Windows, what you want to use to open up the file, and you want to browse to C program files 7-zip, and it's like 7ZFM for file manager. That's the one you want. So we just drag these over. Drag these over into our Skyrim Special Edition top level folder. So drag them over, read the README, and what it'll ask you to do is run the backup.bat first, and then run the patcher. So read the README file for that, but that's all you need to do. The creation kit fixes, I'm going to say it's a requirement. That's why I'm showing it with these extra couple minutes. I don't want to make this episode longer because I know it'll mean less folks click into it, but you really need those fixes. The only other thing I'll show you is there's a very common tweaked creation kit INI. Now if you go here to the tweaked creation kit INI, and I show how to do all of these things in the creation kit episodes in my 2 series. Manually download this. Go to your downloads, open up that zip file. It's going to have a little folder. And then here's the creation kit custom. And then if you are using the unofficial patch, just know that when it runs, it creates a file called creation kit custom. So you might want to install this afterwards, or actually if you're using the unofficial patch, you maybe want to use its version of the creation kit custom. If you're not using the unofficial patch, drag this over. It'll allow you to load multiple masters, which is critical, and it also it may break your compilation because it changes where your source files go. And you'll notice that in my data directory, I don't have a source directory. I have one called scripts. We'll cover all of this in the episode in the Beginner Basics series, where we talk about using other people's mods in your scripts. Don't worry about it, and just note the creation kit custom. It has this line right here that says whether or not your scripts are in scripts source. If you have source scripts, and that's where your 13,910 files are, then switch this to source scripts. So it's a little bit advanced at the end event here, but you really got to install those that SSE creation kit fixes. You really got to install that, or your creation kit experience is going to be less than ideal, and then you might not enjoy Skyrim modding anymore, or you'll enjoy it less so, and I don't want that from you. I want you to enjoy making scripts, or if you don't do scripts and you do armor, meshes, and textures, and all the design aspects of modding, then please do that. There's a ton of different screencast tutorial series out there. Click through the video playlist for this Beginner Basics series and enjoy. I'm going to try, and in this series, most of the episodes will be 15 to 30 minutes long, and we'll show you just how to do one thing, versus a number of my other playlists where I do things like make whole mods, and those episodes may be 90 minutes or longer. They'll run between 60 minutes and 2 hours usually, because we're making a whole mod. So congratulations, you made a script, you made it run. Click through video series. I don't remember what's coming up next, but I'm going to drink some of my tea and I'm going to record it right now. So thank you, and as always, happy modding. Thanks.